Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Shutt for this later edition of 8 at 8 following that wonderful game. That was a great game, Wheeling Central at Toronto. I'd certainly urge you to go back and watch it if you missed that latest broadcast we had this evening of our WVU Medicine High School Grand Slam. Just a great game, winning and going into 10 innings before the game ended, and certainly a long broadcast, maybe the longest that we've had in News 9 history, but certainly a great game. I urge you to go back and watch it. And, it's certainly what some of the things we're going to be talking about. You saw in effect there during the game, those wind speeds, the drop in temperatures. Jack Hillgrove commenting on that drop in temperatures during the broadcast. So are even seeing the effect of some of this weather that we're having going into the overnight hours for that game as well. So something interesting. But without further ado, let's jump into things, shall we? For this edition of Nate at 8, the coldest night in 2 weeks is ahead. Some snow will even be returning overnight with these cold temperatures. Then from here, not as cold for the remainder of the week. So after getting through a cold day tomorrow and another cold morning into Wednesday morning, the rest of the week not as cold. So we get by Wednesday afternoon and on. It's not real warm, but it's not as cold as what we're going to be dealing with here early on. Looking ahead, going through the weekend, and our next day where temperatures I would say are warmer or more warm than cool, I would say is by Sunday into Monday. That's when temperatures can finally start to pick up, and we can see highs back 60s, 70s at that point. But up until that point, this is still a fairly cool week ahead. Temperatures for a lot of this stretch are, well, tomorrow likely struggling to even get out of the 30s, but from there, even looking at temperatures more 50s to 60s. So still a fairly cool stretch of weather ahead. And our temperatures were in the 50s across most of the area into this evening. Now that story is beginning to change, and we're seeing our temperatures even fall into the 30s behind a cold front passage. You can see that's mainly along and especially north of Route 22 right now. 38 Steubenville, 32 degrees, already hitting that freezing mark. Carrollton, 36, New Philadelphia. And we're seeing those colder temperatures that are further towards our north and northwest translate further southeast into our area. Again, in the wake of that cold front passage, you'll see 30s across the board into north central, northeast Ohio. That's going to be our future here, even early on tonight. So we're going to see these temperatures continue to fall off. And even before midnight arrives, we're likely in the 30s across our entire area. So those temperatures continue to drop off rather quickly early on tonight. When we look at clouds and radar, we are tracking that cold front. You can see with these rain showers as well, getting a little bit of snow on the tail end of this, and it was heavy enough into northern Ohio to deposit a coating on grassy surfaces while roads remained wet. We'll see if that translates to us, maybe something dusting maybe in some spots in the tail end of this after we get that transition from rain to snow. But again, these roads have been remain unaffected by this, and that is anticipated to translate to our area as well. So we'll see on the tail end of this if we can't get at least a dusting from this, and we'll be watching them for a few snow showers overnight as well. That could deliver another dusting, maybe a coating, but nothing extravagant, not getting a whole lot of any snow accumulation. And those roads, for the most part, likely just remain wet. We could be dealing with some slick spots into tomorrow morning, but not anticipating anything major during this stretch. I want to also point out these wind gusts as well. You may have already noticed this, these winds ramping up as this cold front passes. And if you haven't quite had that front near you, this location is mainly south of I-70. Watch for these winds picking up, and you'll see wind gusts right now at the High County Airport, 40 miles per hour. So wind gusts across most of the area will be upwards of 30 plus miles per hour, but in some spots, just like the Ohio County Airport right now, wind gusts can reach upwards of 40, 45 miles per hour. We saw that New Philadelphia as well, wind gusts just exceeding 40 miles per hour earlier in the evening in New Philadelphia. So certainly watch for those winds ramping up as the front passes, and we'll still maintain a breeze overnight, but once the front passes, those winds are not as great as 30, 40 miles per hour going through the night, likely more 20 to 30, and within that range, those wind gusts. But still, as we maintain that breeze, wind chills will certainly be a factor going into tomorrow morning. And with temperatures falling in the 20s, that certainly spells for some cold wind chills tomorrow morning. So our low temperature trend, there's a series of cold mornings ahead Tuesday into Wednesday. Temperatures fall in the 20s both days. From there, then we're back above freezing. It's more on the chilly than cold side Thursday, Friday into Saturday. But like I mentioned, for tomorrow morning, it's likely going to feel colder than what it's going to feel Wednesday morning. As while temperatures do fall back in the 20s Wednesday morning, the wind chill's not a factor Wednesday morning. Winds will calm at that point, but for tomorrow morning, they still are. And here's how those wind chills come into play going throughout tomorrow. The wind chills will be likely into the teens tomorrow morning, and then still going to hold closer to that 30-degree mark, despite temperatures closer to 40 tomorrow afternoon. So it is just a cold day altogether as we go throughout your Tuesday before, at least by Wednesday afternoon, we start to lose that cold feel to the air. At least we're getting back closer to 50 degrees by Wednesday afternoon. But up until Wednesday afternoon, just be prepared for a cold stretch of weather as we do look ahead. And again, the coldest will be tomorrow morning when wind chills into the teens. That'll be the coldest it likely feels here during this couple day stretch of cold temperatures into the teens tomorrow morning. That's the coldest it's going to feel. From there, then we'll be dealing with temperatures picking up. This will be about the coldest morning we have coming tomorrow morning, as well as into Wednesday morning. Last time we were in the mid 20s, it was a little over 2 weeks. I believe we were at 15 days ago, a little over 2 weeks. Last time we had temperatures dip to that extent. So it's been a little bit of a time since we've had these colder temperatures that are arriving here over the next couple of mornings. So Futurecast picking up on this rain, and again, the little bit of snow on the tail end of this with this cold front passage. Like I mentioned, we'll see this continue to pass early on tonight. Then leading up to midnight, you'll notice this is passed, and then there's our 30s across the board. So even before the midnight hour strikes, that we're likely seeing temperatures in the 30s across the board, and we're seeing this precipitation likely moving out of the area. Now, that doesn't mean we dry up, but we certainly see precipitation become more hit or miss. And we'll notice this as this time around, all snow likely, with these scattered snow showers in place for the second half of the night, carrying over into Tuesday morning. These snow showers then likely will taper off by Tuesday afternoon. So yeah, we can still get a snow shower lingering tomorrow morning. Tapers off though for the second half of your Tuesday. And then we look to stay dry likely as we go to Tuesday night, as well as going into Wednesday. Now, in terms of snow accumulation, it's little or none. And if we were to see some of this stick to the grass, again, likely less than a half of an inch. We did see that in northern Ohio. It's possible we at least get a dusting, a coating of snow. Again, primarily grassy surfaces. Roads may remain primarily wet. Some slick spots to watch for would obviously be side roads, bridges, overpasses. I think tomorrow morning is just one of those times where you just use a little extra caution and, keep in mind that, yes, some slick spots are possible, but nothing to really be overly anxious about. This is not a major headache going into tomorrow morning. I don't anticipate too much of an impact, but again, some slick spots cannot be ruled out with the possibility there. Temperatures falling below freezing. Roads, yes, it will be wet. They can freeze in spots. That's where we get our slick spots. So, yeah, that is a possibility tomorrow morning. But again, likely nothing major. Certainly want to use some caution tomorrow morning's commute. Any slick spots that we do see develop overnight, they will quickly improve throughout the day tomorrow. Temperatures still cold, but we do climb above freezing. A quick improvement in any slick spots likely through the morning hours tomorrow. And from there, we don't have to worry about it. Again, the snow tapers off at that point. We're likely not dealing with any more snow by tomorrow afternoon, continuing as we look ahead going into Wednesday. And it's doubtful we're dealing with any precipitation on Wednesday, but the following round of precipitation will move in by Wednesday night. And at that point, we're dealing with a chilly rain. Temperatures will be upper 30s, near 40. It's cold, but it's just warm enough to keep the bulk of that precipitation as rain. So it is you could even say a cold rain that follows Wednesday night. And temperatures do climb back towards the mid 50s Thursday afternoon. We're maintaining a lot of showers likely going throughout the day on Thursday, before precipitation becomes back to more hit or miss Friday and into Saturday. The coverage of showers should start to fall off into the weekend, but still can't rule out at least some showers. They do remain possible for both Friday and into Saturday. Our next round of no threat for any rain at all would be Sunday into Monday. Lots of sunshine breaks out Sunday. Good amount of sunshine, at least to start the day on Monday. And those 2 days with no threat for rain at all also then coincides to be our warmest likely couple of days we have here over the next week, as temperatures we'll get back to the 60s to 70s at that point. Up until then, again, you see a lot of 50s looking ahead going into Saturday. And of course, tomorrow sticks out as well, being our cold day with temperatures struggling to even get into the 40s. Tuesday afternoon, lingering snow shower in the morning. And then we'll dry up into Wednesday, increase in cloud cover throughout the day, temperatures topping off closer to 50, and then not as cold for those mornings into the weekend. Again, highs are just rather cool, still below normal for this time of the year. The normal high is closer to 60 degrees this time of the year. We won't get back to more seasonable values until Sunday. So this is a cool stretch for us this time of the year. Not record breaking in terms of how cold it's going to be over the next couple of mornings. We're certainly dealing with temperatures that are fairly close. I'd say a little over with a handful of degrees. And in fact, it did some digging into temperatures versus record. So in terms of the coldest low on record for tomorrow morning, it's 20 degrees. The forecast is still towards the mid 20s. So within a handful or so degrees, and then closer to about 10 degrees off from the coldest high. That was the coldest high temperature for tomorrow on record, 30, and we're going to be 39. So, but still, to put in perspective of how cold this is for this time of the year, we're not too far off from dealing with some records in terms of how cold it's going to be tomorrow. Again, the coldest high temperature on record for tomorrow for the 8th of April is 30 degrees. For the Wheeling area, the coldest low, 20 degrees. Forecasted low, 26, and forecasted high closer to 40. So still very cold this time of the year, and certainly closer to the record coldest low and high than what's normal this time of the year. We are certainly closer to dealing with those records than dealing to what's normal. Because again, the normal high this time of year is closer to 60. The normal low is closer towards 40. So yeah, our high temperature is going to be closer to that normal low this time of the year tomorrow afternoon. So certainly brace for a cold day tomorrow, then not as cold after Wednesday morning. From there, temperatures cool going through the weekend, and then more mild, especially by early next week. Temperatures will pick up. Doesn't look quite as cold next week as what we are dealing with for this week. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this later edition of Nate at 8. Again, I urge you to go back. That was a great game. We were holding off to give our weather update here, this edition of Nate at 8, till the game of Wheeling Central in Toronto ended, our high school Grand Slam broadcast, and that was such a great game. 10 innings, and yeah, I won't spoil the winner if you haven't seen it so far, but yeah, great game, that's for sure. All right, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. You can catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11, and of course, right back here tomorrow evening for that next weather update with the next edition of Nate at 8. Have a great night.